Hey guys, this is Ethereum here, doing a quick response video to this Ethereum is about to take over video from Graham Stephen. I think I'm going to speed up the video a little bit to get through it more quickly, but let's see what he's got.
What's up, Graham? It's Guys here. So I think it's no surprise that overall, 2021 has been a breakthrough year in so many ways. Like, we now have a brain implant that translates thought to text with 94% accuracy, a new lithium metal battery technology that promises 80% further range, bioengineered bugs developed to help break down plastics. Oh, and Bitcoin just recently hit $69,000. Nice. Although while investors everywhere celebrate the almighty number of meme greatness, there's another topic gaining some mainstream attention, and that all has to do with Ethereum, which so far this year has increased in price roughly 1,000%, outpacing the return of Bitcoin by approximately 3 times. Now, what's interesting is that this isn't just a one-time occurrence either. Since 2016, Ethereum has consistently posted higher annualized returns than just about anything else, leading some people to believe that at the current rate, if this continues, Ethereum could lead the market through an ominous-sounding event known as the flippening, where it overtakes the market cap of Bitcoin and everyone loses their minds. So given how analysts are now predicting both Bitcoin and Ethereum to continue their seemingly unstoppable momentum, let's talk about exactly what's going on, whether or not a reversal is actually possible, and the impact this could have throughout the entire market. Because I have to say, after gathering every piece of data that I could possibly find, the results were pretty surprising and left me reconsidering how I plan to invest in the future and where my money might be best allocated. But before we start, I want to say a huge thank you to the sponsor of today's video, the like button. Did you know that every 2 seconds, a like button goes without being smashed? Well, thankfully, with your help, you could make a difference by giving the like button the tap it deserves. And as a thank you for your selfless support in helping the almighty YouTube algorithm, for a limited time, you'll get to see a picture of the creator that you just helped holding the like button that you just smashed. So thank you guys so much. Now, with that said, let's begin. All right, so first, we should really understand exactly what Ethereum is and how it's fundamentally different from other technologies, because I'm sure most people just see it as a less expensive Bitcoin or maybe a faster way to buy things. But both of those descriptions couldn't be further from the truth in terms of really understanding why Ethereum has such a strong mainstream popularity. See, the concept of Ethereum was first described in 2013 by 19-year-old Vitalik Buterin, who created it as a way to facilitate programmable contracts using its own currency. And yes, I realize that sounds incredibly confusing, so we'll break it down a little bit further. The creation of Ethereum all begins with replacing the intermediary between what we do and how our information is processed. Like, for example, while you're watching this video that I created for you, YouTube is the intermediary between us. Or if you want to send money between people, a third party like Venmo, PayPal, or a bank is the intermediary between you and that person. But by having an intermediary, you are trusting that company with your information, and they're the ones that control how and the speed at which your information is presented. Ethereum, on the other hand, is based on the same blockchain network as Bitcoin, except it allows for an open source platform where programmers could build applications that facilitate the exchange of money, content, property, or anything of value in the form of what's called a smart contract.
Okay, so just pausing right here. This guy's gone over a ton of information already up to this point, and I haven't interrupted him because everything that he has said so far is either just a fact that can't be argued, or his opinion is something that I agree with, or he's not even really even sharing his opinion that much. He's just kind of explaining the facts of things that have happened this year and prices and how it relates to Bitcoin and specifically Ethereum. He did mention the flippening. That is a huge topic in the Ethereum community and just the cryptocurrency community. I am a firm believer in the flippening, meaning that I think Ethereum long-term, I don't know when, I'm not going to try to predict it, but Ethereum long-term is going to be worth more, have a larger market cap than Bitcoin. And I think the reason why is because of utility, which is what he's explaining here. The utility is through the smart contracts that it offers. A lot more useful than just a store of value, right? So if you think of gold is really expensive and it's a great store of value, and there's some utility to it, right? But a lot of it's decorative. It can be used in electronics, right? It's a really good conductor of electricity, but something like steel is going to have a lot more utility than gold because you can do a lot more. As a tool, you can shape it to do things. It's a lot stronger. There's just, when you're thinking about the value of something, for me, there's a certain level of importance in the store of value. So in other words, something that you take your hard-earned money or your cash and you put it in something, you buy something with it, an asset, to store the value of what that cash is. So it's protected against inflation or that particular currency or something like that. And gold's great for that. Bitcoin's great for that. But Ethereum is a utility value. It's actually something that you can be used. So like if you take your hard-earned money and you go buy a car with it, or you go buy, tools or a hammer, or there's a lot more utility to those kinds of things. So maybe it's not a better store of value, maybe it is, but the utility, I think, makes something like that even more valuable. So we'll jump back into the video with that.
This is a digital agreement that performs a specific task when certain conditions are met. Like, if you hit the like button will turn blue. If you comment down below, I will respond. And where this gets interesting is that these smart contracts...
With Fundrise, you can invest
Sorry
here,
for the ads.
from there, or there.
could be built for pretty much anything. Like if I lent you $1,000, the smart contract would make sure that I get paid back by a specific day and time directly from your wallets without any work on your end, directly from the Ethereum blockchain. It basically...
By the way, that's DeFi. That's decentralized finance. Basically, what he explained right there is that if you have your wallet and you want to lend money out, you can lend money out at whatever percentage you want for however long you want. And there's smart contracts that live on the blockchain, so therefore anyone can go read what's in the contract, read what's in the program, and say, oh, this person's going to lend me this much money over this period of time, and I'm going to pay back this much in interest. You became your own bank, right? So what he's saying right here is there's no intermediary for a bank where you need to go to a bank to take out a loan from someone. You can just go to that person and take out a loan. Pretty cool stuff.
Removes the middleman and allows transactions to happen in real time without any human involvement. The thought is that this would create more trust between parties because there's no gray area. Like, you know the contract doesn't take sides, it just does what both parties agree on, and that's it. So in this case, Ethereum is the network, the program...
It's cool because the contract isn't a written piece of document that's held together by law, right? So the bank said that they're going to lend out this money and you said that you're going to pay it back, and then if you don't, then the bank can come after you because you have collateral assets or whatever. You can't not pay back the loan. It takes it back out of your wallet. So really cool that there's no need for an intermediary because it does what it says it's going to do automatically on the blockchain. So pretty interesting stuff.
Are created on, and Ether is the currency that powers it. Kind of like Ethereum is the car, but Ether is the gas that powers the car. The gas itself was really never meant to be an investment or store of value to begin with, even though it certainly can be, because oil is certainly skyrocketing through the roof. But instead, Ethereum is about creating a completely decentralized peer-to-peer network on a...
And I know I've kind of been stopping him, so that was actually a really, really important point. I'm not going to go back, but basically Ethereum is the platform, and you can write smart contracts. There's a lot of different things that you can do on it. But Ether is then the currency that's used to transact on that platform. And that's something that I didn't differentiate or understand the difference between for a little while. So that's a really, really important point about what the utility of Ethereum is. So you think of like paper and you have a contract and you're writing things up, or even code, you're writing different logic patterns and things like that. That's one piece. And then you have the transactions that happen within that. So a really good analogy of the car and the gas.
Level playing field, with Ether being the currency that powers it. Now, initially, unlike Bitcoin, which is limited to a total number of 21 million coins and that's it, until recently, Ethereum was potentially infinite with a mining limit of 18 million new coins every single year. However, in August of 2021, the Ethereum network underwent what's called the London hard fork, which is a fancy way of saying the program was updated to improve its efficiency and its price. See, before this upgrade, Ethereum transactions were processed and prioritized by whoever was willing to pay the most. Kind of like someone offering to pay a little bit more to cut the line and get VIP access. However, as Ethereum began to grow in popularity, so many people began using the VIP service and cutting the line that their transaction fees increased to a point where it no longer made sense to move smaller amounts because the cost was so high. But with this new upgrade, a base fee is implemented for every transaction, of which is automatically burned, thereby reducing the overall supply of Ethereum and creating a deflationary effect that winds up increasing its price. As a result, over 800,000 Ethereum have been burned and taken out of circulation in the last 3 months. And this update is set to make way for the much anticipated Ethereum 2.0 upgrade, but we'll talk about that momentarily. The important distinction...
These are a lot of things that I'm still currently learning about right now, and I don't want to get into too much of the details because I'm no expert on any of this. The whole reason I'm doing this is to learn and to answer questions that people that I know have, so or that people send me. So for this, we could talk more about what happened with that latest upgrade, but to me, those kinds of things are a little bit less interesting. I mean, they are somewhat important, but there's a lot of details and there's a lot to learn. And it's not as interesting as some of the other things that I think he gets into.
Is that the Ethereum network is meant to lay the foundation from which other decentralized applications can be built on top of, similar to how the internet allows YouTube to play the videos that you're watching right now. But in terms of its price, why analysts believe it could hit $10,500, and whether or not the flippening has any actual merit, we should discuss its relation to Bitcoin, because I hope so far this isn't confusing and it's all going to make a lot of sense very soon. I'm sure at this point, Bitcoin needs absolutely no introduction as the largest cryptocurrency by market cap and volume. Alright, I guess that was kind of an introduction. But even though most people initially thought of Bitcoin as a new type of digital currency, it eventually evolved into a global store of value, paving the way as a new asset class that's potentially being used as a hedge against inflation and global turmoil. Companies like Tesla, PayPal, Square, MicroStrategy, and a variety of other businesses have begun placing a portion of their cash reserves in Bitcoin. And even entire countries like El Salvador have begun using it throughout their economy. Despite the rapid volatility, more and more people are using it as a way to diversify their portfolio. And as it gains momentum, more and more people are beginning to take it very seriously. Even Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple, says that he owns cryptocurrency and he's been interested in it for a while. Well, billionaire Mark Cuban recommends that investors maintain a small allocation to Bitcoin. And if you want something shocking, JP Morgan, who previously called Bitcoin worthless, is now predicting a long-term price of $146,000. It's also no surprise that millennials and Gen...
I do want to call out that JP Morgan probably called Bitcoin worthless because it sort of undermines what they are, right? So if Bitcoin, there are people that think that Bitcoin is going to take out all the banks because they're not needed anymore. I think it's the same thing as, people still ride horses and we have cars, right? There's going to be a place for everything. There's a reason for banks. They're still going to be around, but banks are going to have to pivot to be able to handle cryptocurrencies and smart contracts and things like that. So I think they were nervous about it, and they were trying to, if they could, they had a big audience. They were trying to leverage, hey, this thing's garbage. It's not really going to matter, because it was a threat to them and still is a threat to them. But it doesn't have to be. It can be something that they can start to adopt. Banks can start to adopt and use as the technology that they use to transact on their networks. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in banking. For me personally, that's harder for me to learn. I'm a lot more interested in the technology and the use cases and the things that can be built, especially around art and games and different things like that. But there is a lot of interesting things going on with DeFi and decentralized banking and things like that.
They own more cryptocurrency than any other generation, and many of them are ditching traditional finance in favor of Bitcoin. The implication is that over time, Bitcoin has really solidified its dominance as the foundation of the entire cryptocurrency market. And ultimately, people invest as a way to protect their money with the expectation that more adoption is going to follow over time, and that will continue to drive up the price. It's already evident by the fact that the first ever Bitcoin futures ETF was introduced, along with a consistent push to bring a Bitcoin index fund to the market that would allow anyone to buy in with a few clicks of a button. It's also said that with Bitcoin, volatility is the price you pay for performance, while Bitcoin grows less risky as adoption and its price increases. And the billionaire Bill Mayer says that Bitcoin's total supply is growing less than 2% a year, and it's obvious by the price that its demand is growing much, much faster than that. Although that then leads us to the question of questions. Will Ethereum's momentum continue growing to the point where eventually it outpaces Bitcoin and flips its position as the largest cryptocurrency on the market? Well, on the surface, in terms of past performance, Ethereum is impressive. For example, there's a website called Cost AVG that calculates the return of cryptocurrency investments over time. And as you can see, had you spent $100 a month buying Bitcoin since 2017, your $6,000 investment would have turned into a $75,000 value, an ROI of 1,155%. However, had you made that same investment into Ethereum during that same time frame, your $6,000 investment would have turned into, wait for it, $227,000 with an ROI of almost 3,700%. Not to mention throughout...
That's not exactly the best measure, because Bitcoin is older than Ethereum, because Ethereum was started in, 2013, was actually released in 2015. So it's quite a bit younger. So when you're looking at those time frames, something growing from creation on is going to grow quite a bit more because of those early time frames. So if you were to look at Bitcoin from the same point in time, when Bitcoin got started back in 2008, then they may be more similar in return, or Bitcoin does have more return, right? Because now we're talking about the market cap. Bitcoin has a larger market cap. But, because it is staggered and because Ethereum does have more utility, it is seen as more of a valuable asset from that point. Not a store of value as an asset, but there is more value in the asset in its utility.
2017, 18, 19, 20, and now 2021, Ethereum has generated higher returns than Bitcoin with no signs of slowing down. Of course, obviously, all of this is only known in hindsight, and it would have been impossible to predict these types of returns 5 years ago. But throughout that time, Ethereum has outperformed Bitcoin's overall return by almost triple. Meaning some people believe that if this continues to the same degree, Ethereum could catch up to the market cap of Bitcoin within about 3 years. Of course, that statement is relying on quite a few ambitious assumptions, and only calculates that the current rate of return is going to continue in equal proportion, without any other changes along the way, which is unlikely to happen exactly as described. I want to make that evidently clear, because nothing grows consistently in a linear fashion. And to expect this will always be the case is literally the epitome of using napkin math to predict future returns using past performance, which isn't necessarily the most reliable. But still, Ethereum's performance is much higher than I initially expected. And given the deflationary changes within the London hard fork,
In the past 10 years,
More
inflation
ads.
has
Get out of here.
Ethereum's price could continue to rise. Fundstrat Global even predicted a $10,500 price target, given its potential to one day be able to process transactions much like MasterCard or Visa. There's also been the very long-awaited release of the Ethereum 2.0 upgrade, which promises further efficiency, scalability, and quicker transaction speeds. Although it's still unclear when that's going to happen, and they've been talking about this now for years. Of course, in terms of the flippening and my thoughts about when this can happen, unfortunately, it's not all rainbows.